And hello, it's Susie Butcher here again with another episode of the Missions Accepted Mission Cast, which is all about us trying to live our life with more purpose. So whether that's changing our the work that we do or adding something to the work that we already do. And I'm really delighted to welcome Emma Parnell joining us today. Oh, sorry, Emma, I'm just going to add you here. There you go. welcome to the Mission Cast. We're actually sort of going to do something a little bit different with you. Normally we're speaking to people who've made quite a pivot in their lives to bring a new mission into their life. But you, in a way, you've sort of almost honed your work so that it is more mission-led. And I think it's really interesting, and especially the way that you've the missions you've kind of chosen to bring into your work. So I came across your story first on a post you did on LinkedIn, in which you sort of clearly set out 3 areas where you want to focus your services. And just to explain, you started in a world of graphic design, sort of packaging and things like that, and you've moved into designing of services with your own business. But within that, you've got a really clear idea of the kind of work that you'd like to be doing. So tell us about what those missions are, that work that you'd like to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's emerging and will probably continue to emerge. But for now, my kind of focus for this year, I suppose, because I'm just coming into my second year of running my business, and year 1 was very experimental for me. Let's try lots of things. Let's get back to being a hands-on designer and kind of follow my nose a little bit with what I enjoyed doing, what I was drawn to. And then this year was about being a bit more intentional, about getting a bit more focus. And for me, I like things in 3s. So there are 3.
Not 1 mission, but 3.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but it's a thing. One for me is about supporting the trans community. So I've been doing a talk called Let's Talk About Sex for about 1.5 years now, off the back of some work I did when I was working at NHS Digital to make the vaccine booking service for COVID vaccines inclusive for people of any sex or gender. And that's really kind of deepened my interest in that particular area and that community. You know, they're going through so much at the moment, and I really want to do all I can to support that community. So that's one of my missions. Another one is around healthcare. So I have a background in designing services in the NHS, like I said, and I had a recent experience with a relative of mine who, sadly, the health service has let him down a wee bit. And we all know, you know, there's a massive crisis going on there at the moment. And even though this is another story for another podcast, I don't think I can work within the NHS. I would like to support designing services in healthcare as much as I can to try and, make a small contribution to the massive amount of work that needs to be done there. So healthcare is number 2. And I guess a specific kind of aspect of healthcare that really interests me for number 3 is cancer care. So again, a kind of personal connection. My mum has just finished breast cancer treatment, and I did a couple of projects in the cancer space last year. And again, this is an area that really interests me, especially early diagnosis and trying to make sure we help people as early as we can, which obviously interconnects with mission 2 around the kind of difficulty and failings, if I'm honest, in the healthcare system at the moment. So they're my 3 missions for now, and we'll see how we go.
Yeah, and so 2 of those you've explained a sort of personal connection to those. And for the first one, is there a personal connection in that's helped drive you to go down that path?
Yeah, there is. They've all come from a personal space, if I'm honest. So the first one around the trans community, my dad is trans, and that's that connection there. And I don't think I really realised that was a driver for me until that work at NHS Digital, which was very challenging. I had to kind of push quite hard and nag quite a lot of people. And I got to the end of that period and just really thought, like, what is it that's kept me going? And I think it was really that personal connection of my dad there that kind of drove that, and what has continued to make me want to kind of put that front and center of my work.
So I have noticed it doing these interviews with lots of different people, how prevalent that almost private mission is
Yeah.
in how it emerges for people. So a lot of people will sit there and say, you know, I want to do something more mission led. I want to do something more purposeful. I just don't
Mm.
know where to start.
Mm.
And might start with something quite macro and, you know, something to do with the
Yeah.
environment or something to do with children or whatever. But in the end, it often comes down to something very personal, as it has
Yeah.
in your case. And it's just fascinating for me seeing that, and the way that you've chosen to just, is it a risk, I guess, make a kind of risk in a way, to say, look, this is what I want to concentrate on, and are you actually turning down other work to leave space for this kind of work?
It's a good question, and one I will be grappling with this year, I think. It's one thing putting a LinkedIn post out there, isn't it? But it's a very different thing living by that promise, and you know, especially when you've got kind of, you know, bills to pay, mortgage to pay, and things like that. So again, it's going to be an experiment for me to see, you know, if that type of work comes my way, and what else I can do to kind of make my intentions clear and kind of promote my experience and knowledge in those areas. So it's a hope. I guess I'm in a relatively privileged position where, you know, I'm going into my second year. I've got a little bit of financial buffer from my first year that was relatively successful, that I can kind of lean on to a degree and say, okay, if I am serious about this, then, you know, maybe I should make use of that. And, you know, if things come my way that are not quite fitting those missions, maybe I can be a little bit more selective this year, and that's what I plan to try and do. But yeah, maybe ask me again in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
We'll see how good I've been at that.
And, you know, you've already taken, you know, what for a lot of people is a risk, is to leave employed work to set up your
Yeah.
own business. Was that an easy decision to make?
No, it wasn't easy. I don't think it's probably that easy for anybody, really, because it does feel tough. It's something I've considered over the years, but I don't think it really was ever the right time. For me, I really enjoyed being part of a team. That was the thing that really kept me in permanent employment for so long, was that sense of belonging that you get when you're part of a kind of a tight knit team that I have had in previous jobs over the years. But for me, it just got to a point where the balance tipped a little bit, and the things I needed were freedom and flexibility to kind of choose my own work, choose what I worked on, and that became more important than that sense of belonging. And I knew that that's something I would only really get from going freelance and running my own thing. And to be honest, for me, it did grow out of having a really tough time in my previous job, and having to get out, frankly. And that is why my business is called Joy, because I wanted some more joy.
Yeah, but this is what's great, is like you're actually really being clear about what you want, as well as the missions, is what
Yeah.
that means for you on every given day or week, and you being able to set it up in a way that works for you. So, I mean, do you have some things apart from the jobs that you want to choose, or do you do other things that really are set up just to suit you because you've been able to go down this path?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it was getting that kind of sense of control back of, you know, being able to work when I want, on what I want. Like, I am probably someone who enjoys control, so I think that works well for me. I wanted to write more. I wanted to make space for that, which I have been doing through my kind of weekly week notes that I write on a Monday about my experiences of going freelance, of running a business, and I've kind of been able to make space for things like that. Being able to make space for spending more time with my family. I live away from the majority of my family all live up north. Now I've got 4 nieces, which I like to see more of, and can be, you know, a lot of my family don't work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 jobs. So if I can make space during the week to spend time with them, that's something that I couldn't have done in my previous role. And traveling more, like you know, we all missed that during the pandemic, but making space to see more of the world, and taking myself off on little trips is another kind of thing I want to do more of. So, but it's, you know, it's very much a bit of an adventure for me, and kind of, you know, every kind of, you know, year will be different, I think. But that's what I quite love. I can kind of, you know, if I have an idea for something, I've got the space now to pursue it. You know, I've been doing quite a bit of mentoring work recently, which I've really enjoyed, and I just thought, well, oh, maybe I'll design a mentoring program, and I can just do that. And that's what I quite like about freelance, is if you have an idea for something, you've got the you can just give yourself permission to do it and try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, you know. So it's having that space to pursue things like that, I think, which you don't always have in a full-time job, like not just the actual time space, but the headspace. You know, I would get to the end of Friday and I would have no headspace for anything but lying
Oh,
on the
yeah.
sofa. You know?
Yeah, that glass of wine and Netflix, isn't it? Like you just can't think beyond that. So do you feel that this, I mean, I always like to say that the reason that we might want to do this is to kind of find the thing that helps make us want to get up in the morning. I'm not saying you're necessarily going to leap out of bed with with joy, but at least feel like, actually, there's a thing I want to get on with, you know, for that day. And has that worked out that way for you?
I don't think I'm like quite at leaping stage yet. But I aspire to that. I think that was definitely part of my decision. It's definitely where I want to get to. But I think I'm on a journey towards that, to, you know, giving myself space to explore, and, you know, be led by some of these, you know, personal things that have happened to me, to do more work in those spaces, to get closer to the leap. So yeah, I don't think I'm quite there, but I think I'm a lot closer than where I was, you know, a year and a half ago. And I hope to kind of continue to make progress in that space with this idea of kind of focusing on particular kind of areas that are more meaningful to me, I suppose.
And have some of those projects come along for you in terms of, or either that you've been working on previously, or coming up for you?
Yeah. I mean, I only wrote that LinkedIn post about a week ago, so give me a chance. But I have done some work previously in those spaces, and that's obviously what's kind of, you know, partly contributed to me selecting those areas. I did a couple of really great projects in the cancer care space last year. One with a really interesting kind of cancer startup charity that are looking to do things quite differently, and one through an agency working with a larger cancer charity. And yeah, I loved both of those. I also worked with Drink Aware, who that was through another agency as well, but they were looking at making their digital products work for gender diverse audiences. So yeah, I took a lot from those three projects especially, which is partly what drove me to select those mission areas alongside the kind of personal drivers that we've already spoken about. So I'm hopeful that more will continue to come my way this year.
Let the universe know. Absolutely. It's all you can do, can't you? And if somebody was thinking of doing this themselves, like really trying to find their own mission, I mean, is there anything that you would suggest to them as, you know, as a way to help really find
Yeah,
out?
I've been thinking about this because I was definitely one of those people that for years and years was almost beat myself up a bit about not having that thing, you know. I wanted it so bad, but I was like, I don't know what it is. And it,
Mm.
you know, I think, to be honest, stopping trying probably helped me,
Yeah.
and just letting it emerge like more organically in, you know, when the time was right, I think was the best thing for me. I don't think I could have got here when I was 25. It just, you know, I hadn't had enough life experience. You know, don't know, there's different things that contribute, but I think, you know, stop giving yourself a hard time. Like, it will happen, I think, when the time is right, if that's something that's important to you. It's hard. I don't think you can force it, to be honest.
Mm.
It's a lot more authentic if you just let it come.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's just about, you know, getting to know yourself a bit more,
Yeah,
isn't it? And what your drivers are, but not necessarily what the thing is. And
for
then,
sure, for sure. Like, sadly, they don't teach you this stuff at school or university. I wish they
it'd be
did.
wasted on the youth. It would be wasted on them. Yes, but I've been hearing some interesting things about the concept of a third quarter in life. So, you know, first quarter up to 25, second quarter up to 50, and the second quarter is often extremely busy for everybody
Yeah.
in terms of family and establishing careers and all those kind of things. And the third quarter from 50 to 75 kind of going, that's when you actually really get to do your thing
Oh, well, that's
because
good to
some of
know.
the others, so you can kind of slow down a little bit in the second quarter, not panic, because actually we're going to have this whole quarter. And especially now that menopause is finally being dealt with, you know, so it's like, actually, that's just going to be a great time to go for things. So, you know, you don't have to do it all by the time you're 50. There's plenty of times afterwards. So I know you've got a few years to go. So you'll have plenty of time. Well, Emma, thank you so much. It's just really invigorating to hear people choosing to make, to be really selective and about and intentional about the work that they want to do, and especially when that work is excellent things. Would you like to share your website with us, just for anyone who might not be able to read the description?
Yeah, sure. So designforjoy.co.uk, you can kind of find out all about my kind of service design practice on there, but I also offer mentoring and public speaking as well. So yeah, check me out on there and you should find all my socials linked in the footer.
Brilliant. Emma, thank you so much. And yeah, good luck with finding those missions. I'm sure they'll
Thanks so
turn
much.
up. Thank you. And so if you're like Emma and you feel that you want to be doing something more, some great advice there to just sort of become, just be aware of things that are driving you and potentially look around to the things that are going on in your personal life that may actually be something that you can take on in a bigger role or bring into your life in some way, your life and your work. And if you'd like to join us in Missions Accepted, there's a link in the description. That's what we do. We sit there, we try and figure out some of that stuff without the hard pressure. We're not saying leave your job tomorrow and do this. It's really just letting those things emerge. So have a click on that in the link, and we'll see you next time.